Welcome to session 2 of the study guide for the Confidence Cornerstone. We're in external factors and confidence. When a man walks into a room, they're assumed to be competent until they prove otherwise. For women, it's the other way around. That's a quote from the Confidence Code. The Boston Consulting Group analyzed employee survey data from about 200,000 respondents and found that women start their careers with just as much ambition as men. The degree of ambition women experience is not any different in women with or without children. In fact, the one factor that does have an impact on women's ambition, for better or worse, is the culture in which they work. In the article Dispelling the Myths of the Gender Gap, the authors explicitly state there are clearly many factors at work, but our data shows that the gains of women do not come at the expense of men. Where the culture encourages and enables women to pursue their ambitions, everyone wins. Before we look at how to develop greater confidence, we need to do some housekeeping. We need to look at what gets in the way and even causes damage to our confidence so we can throw out the old baggage and make sure we don't let it back in. We need to call out and address the subconscious and conscious biases that lead to unequal treatments, misperceptions, and microaggressions. We need to ensure that people are aware of their subconscious biases by shedding light on them, not to condemn the person, but to challenge their thinking. We need to be bold enough to acknowledge our biases, talk about them, and determine how we can change the conversation. So let's take a look at some of the very real challenges women have to face in the workplace and in society every day of our lives because of accepted unhealthy practices. Cultural norms. No matter how strong a leader a woman is, no matter how intelligent, no matter how strategic, she still has to wrestle with the tension between the roles most women take on as adults, that of wife, mother, career person, friend, among others. Even with the option to stay home with the children or go to work, it can sometimes feel like a no win situation. Whether they take advantage of daycare so they can go to work or they stay home to take care of their children, women often wrestle with feelings of guilt or inadequacy either way. Compensation and performance. Women still make about 80 cents to a man's dollar on the average for the same work when they have the same qualifications. Part of that is due to the inaccurate perceptions that women are less competent than men, as the opening quote indicates. In addition, Harvard Business Review research shows that overall, women don't do as well as men on performance evaluations, and it's due to perception and gender biases, and less because of actual performance. For example, a man and a woman with the same performance issue will get different feedback. The man's manager will put a positive spin on any issues, acknowledging his strengths and providing specific feedback for growth, while the woman will receive vague feedback and it will be negative, and she will face negative repercussions on her future career opportunities for similar behavior. Microaggressions. Those are the more subtle negative responses directed at women and often expressed in verbal communication, body language, and simply overall treatment. They include assuming the woman is more junior than she actually is, questioning her judgment in her area of expertise, expecting her to justify her decisions to a greater degree than her male counterparts. It also includes demeaning language, calling a woman honey, referring to male employees as men and women as girls. Lack of role models. Because of the lower numbers of women in leadership, women have fewer role models to choose from. Women need more healthy female role models who can mentor them and show them how to navigate and grow through the unique challenges and also the needs that women face as they advance. Lack of sponsors. Men tend to look for other men to sponsor, But that leaves out a whole host of women who have strong leadership potential and no one to provide support in their growth. Without a voice at the table where key leadership decisions are made, women can be easily overlooked. Sister rivalry. The HBR Women at Work podcast, entitled Sisterhood is Scarce, discusses that all too frequently, women in leadership positions are not supportive of other women. Women of color, and especially Asian women, experience a much greater struggle finding support and building friendships with other women. While the desire to work hard and get ahead are good things, these desires become toxic when we're tempted to treat others as less than us just to try to make ourselves look better. Let's look at what the Bible says about women. We've talked through some of the external factors that limit confidence, but one voice overrides what anyone else thinks or says about our place in leadership. Let's set the record straight on what God says about women. The original words, Ezer Kenegdo, indicate that Eve was a strong support, equal to Adam and bringing strength to him where he was weak. The word Ezer is used in other places in the Bible for God, describing him as Israel's helper. It's also used in places where Israel is appealing to other nations for military help. It means strong or power. Eve was taken out of Adam to be an equal partner with strengths where Adam was weak, to complete him. God created woman to have strengths that would complete Adam where he was weak. Man and woman together are strong and complete in a state of wholeness. When we work together, there is no weakness. There is peace or shalom. We're different and equal in community and in the workplace. The key, as it is with all that we do in life, is to seek God first and pursue his purposes for our lives. God created both men and women to lead. Now, that doesn't mean that everyone was created to be a leader. All of us have specific functions we were created for and talents to apply in our work. However, leadership was never designated for men only. The Bible is filled with examples of women who God used to lead, to advise, to teach, and to be part of the lineage of Jesus Christ. And women led, advised, and taught both men and other women. Here's just a sampling of some of the women who played important roles throughout the Bible. Deborah was a judge and prophetess. She instructed a military leader, Barak, to gather 10,000 troops to go and take their enemy under Sisera. Barak wouldn't go unless Deborah accompanied him. God gave Israel victory over Sisera's army, and Sisera was murdered by a woman, Jael, as Deborah said would happen. That's in Judges 4 through 22. Esther was an orphan Jew in captivity, but God gave her favor with the king, and she became King Xerxes' queen. With great courage and faith, she used her position to influence the king and save the entire nation of the Jews from being destroyed by their enemies. You can find that in the book of Esther. Mary of Bethany sat at the feet of Jesus as a student in the same way that the men of that day would study under a rabbi. That's in Luke 10:38 through 42. And Mary Magdalene was the first one to announce the resurrection of Jesus to the other disciples. Lydia was a businesswoman of means who heard the gospel and became a follower of Christ. She opened her home to Paul and Silas and became one of the early church leaders. That's in Acts 16. And Phoebe held the title of deacon and was tasked with delivering Paul's letter to the church at Rome. As the one who carried the letter, she would have read it to the people and would have answered questions for them. That's in Romans 16:1 and 2. Women are important to God and play an important part in the cultural mandate that he gave us. Jesus literally went out of his way to make sure we could see that women have a significant role to play in God's story, including places in leadership as teachers and as coworkers.